What's up, y'all? Welcome back to Green Room Hot Topics. This is your girl, Lo.
My name is Jay.
It's your boy, Sean Q.
And we have our wine talk today. So our wine talk is basically dealing with our relationship segments because we have a lot of requests for those things. And so our request today comes from Simone Does It All on Facebook. So shout out to you, Simone.
Shout out to Simone.
Yes. Thank you, because this is going to be very interesting for the guys. It's just me, y'all. I'm the only girl, so I got y'all ladies. Don't worry. So the question today is, why do relationships fail? Whose fault is it? Men or women? And obviously we're talking about, heterosexual relationships, because that's, what we all do.
Straight up.
And so no offense to anybody else who is not. We're just saying that we're speaking on it from this angle. So, but I do feel like regardless, there are different things that can be applied to all relationships. Mm-hmm. So let's get started. And I'm gonna let the fellas speak first, because I'm kind. So,
but it's ladies first if you're a gentleman.
It is, right? And they are gentlemen, but that's why I said I'm going to let them, right?
She did say it. She did put the lid in there. She did.
So, guys, what's your first thought when you hear about this question of who's to blame for failing relationships? Let me ask you this more specifically. What does a failing relationship look like to you?
So a failing relationship is obviously, somebody isn't happy and maybe things aren't getting done and maybe there's no communication. It's just not a healthy relationship. It might be toxic, but those are my first thoughts. You just have to look into the backgrounds of everyone and, kind of see what's going on.
So what do you mean? Wait, we're going to get to that. Let me ask you, Jay, what were your first thoughts when you think about a failing relationship?
I mean, distrust. I don't know, because when you say that too, I feel like it can be a mixture. It can be anybody's fault. It's not always the male's fault, the woman's fault. It can be both parties' fault.
Right.
So I feel like when I think about that, I feel like, all right, boom, solution. The first thing is solution. Like, what can y'all do to make that, to better y'all's relationship?
Right. Well, I have a different take on it altogether. I don't necessarily think that a failing relationship means the separation of two people, because sometimes those people just aren't good for each other, but it doesn't mean that with the next person they won't be. Sometimes, not even sometimes, in every type of relationship, but we're talking about significant others, in those type of relationships, this man can bring something out of me that the next man cannot and won't. This man can bring a lot of anger out of me because of the way he approaches me, the way he talks to me, where this man can bring a lot of success out of me because of the way he encourages me and supports me. So those things are elements, and it doesn't make. And I'm not saying it like, I'm nothing without these people. I'm just saying in different relationships, you get different things. You are who you are, but these people can pull those things out of you, in a different way. So that's how I look at them all together. Mm-hmm. But Sean said a very interesting thing about backgrounds. Mm-hmm. So let's elaborate on that, please, Sean.
So when you're talking about backgrounds, you just have to know what type of background this person came from. Did they come from a two-parent household? Did they come from a single-parent household? What happened in their past, just certain things. You just have to know not everything, but those are key factors to how a person may outlook on the situation or how a person may react, in their behaviors.
Agreed. Yeah. Because some people, like, when you come into a relationship, so say I come into a relationship, right? Mm-hmm. Some people may base their situation off their last relationship,
right?
Which can be toxic,
Yeah, it can
be. You thinking like, all right, because I'm first of all, like, you're gonna be a different guy. Right. Everybody's their own person, but then you always got that person that's like, oh, well, I thought she was gonna do this because my ex did that. We got like learning to separate the two, taking that person for that person.
Okay.
That's key too.
Okay.
That's key.
I can agree with that. I mean, we're being candid here. In any relationship I've ever going into, I've always been very like, this is a new relationship, and I would have those type of conversations with guys that I would be dating if it got into a serious way. Mm-hmm. I would say, okay, hey, like, I'm dealing with you, so I'm not bringing anything from the past, but I am going to say in one relationship I was guilty of that, and it's because I like kept being scarred. And so I was like, you know, so it brought triggers. I'm not the type of woman, and I don't think I can't speak for other women on certain things, but I'm not the type of woman to check up on a man. Like, I don't have the time. I have other things I have to take care of, get done, and you know, I like my peace, I like my solitude, and so, you know, if I'm with someone and they say, oh, okay, I'm gonna go do this, I say, oh, okay. If I have issues about it, I'm gonna talk to you about it. I'm not gonna hide it. I'll be like, are you meeting somebody there? If you tell me no, I'm gonna have to go with that. You know what I'm saying? There have been times though that a recurring thought has kept, you know, coming up. So I feel like I gotta investigate. You know what I'm saying? Women's intuition is a real thing.
Hey, I believe that.
And I can't tell you that has ever failed me. You know, because there have been past relationships where I thought, something ain't adding up. Like, he keep, you know, telling me this, and okay, this isn't okay. I'm gonna let it go, and I let it go for a few months, and then I asked him about it, and he said, no, I'm not cheating. And I said, okay, and I went and I pulled up on him, and you know, he was skilled. He was an expert cheater. But anyway, he was, but it came out like a year later that he was, and that same night I went looking for him, he was with the girl. You know, it just happened that I saw him after the fact, you know. But women's intuition is a real thing, so I will not say that I don't go against that. But I'm just not the type of woman to check up on a man. So if you're doing you, dark always comes to the light. That's how I see it. So when you say backgrounds, though, let me ask you guys this, because I believe that, you know, people grow, they mature. They aren't always their situations that they were brought out of because they decided to make a firm path for themselves. So if you're looking at somebody's background, either of you guys, and you're looking at that and you're saying, okay, this is what's happening in her background, and you know, she came from a single parent household, and you know, maybe she didn't have a father who was always there, maybe her mom, I don't know, passed away, whatever the situation is, do you just firmly go based on that, or do you give that person, you know, some time to like kind of figure them out? Because people form their own paths, and people go through things and say, you know what, I don't want to be that person, or I don't want to be what life is trying to deal me. I'm going to go another way. I'm going to test to that. So
that's true.
I think that you would just have to give the person the test yourself and just see what you're willing to put up with and what you're not willing to put up with.
Right.
And if this person comes off as just too difficult and just too scarred off the past, that person can actually be toxic to you. So you just keep it pushing at that point.
Right.
So it's definitely up to you if you want to deal with that or not.
I feel that way too. Pretty much when you going into a relationship, I feel like, well, first off, y'all gotta start off as friends. Y'all have to start off as friends.
Right.
That's your opportunity right there to kind of do your research.
Right.
Take advantage of that. Not advantage of that person. I'm gonna make that clear.
Yeah.
Take advantage of that situation.
Right.
To learn that person. And then see if that person is for you, because not everybody's compatible. Y'all might like each other a lot, but y'all might be better off as friends. You ever I've had situations like that. Like we started talking, and then it kind of just like, oh, well, she's just cool people. Like, I can chill with her. Like, there's, you know, so that's how I feel on that one.
Okay, I feel like guys experience that in a different way than women. Like, you know, again, I'm speaking for myself, but I can pretty much feel like right off the bat if I'm going to be interested in talking to a guy or not. Like, you know, they can be, because for me it's not just about looks, you know, everything has to encompass that. I've been with people on the outside, they may not look that good, and I'm gonna be real, but you know, like their personality shone so bright, I was like, man, this person is so cool, like why not? And I've always been the type of woman who is like, you know, I'm not going to, I don't know who I'm meant to be with, you know, I don't know who's out there for me, so I'm not going to just push that person to the side, you know, I'm gonna give it a chance, even if it's just talking, like what you said, getting to know the person, right? So my question is with you guys, what are the things with women, let's get into that, when it comes to relationships failing, what are some of the things that have happened to you guys in your past where you're like, this is why the relationship failed? And I'm gonna ask them not to be biased. what were things that, have you ever looked back and said, man, I wish I would have handled this differently? And now this is not to say, because we are all in relationships, but this is not to say that, you know, we're not happy with the partner that we're with. We're just talking about relationships in general. We're all very happy with our partners. I love you, Bonna. You know,
I love you, but
shout out, boo. You know. Anyway, he thinks I'm funny, y'all. I'm crazy.
Well, we got that.
Anyway, but this is just talking about our past relationships. You know, did you ever come into a point in your life to where you were like, you know what, I could have handled this situation differently, or I really still feel like this chick was crazy, or from my aspect, this dude wasn't working for me, or, you know, let's talk about it. Why do relationships fail?
Well, first off, I feel like I could have handled a few situations better, you know, based off my temper.
Okay.
You know, like, I'm not afraid to admit, like, like, my temper was way better than now. But, like, since, like, years ago, oh, man, like, I'm not, I wasn't, exactly. Like, now I'm grown all the way mentally, but I was in a relationship at a young age. I started at 23, you know, so I was handling situations the way I wanted to. I could have approached her differently. We could have had a whole different conversation. You know, but me being that young in a relationship, thinking I was like completely ready, I definitely could have handled some of the situations differently. Okay.
What about you, Sean?
Nah, mine was just communication issues. I feel like I haven't been in that many serious relationships, but one prior serious relationship, it was a long way. It was stretched out 5 years, but it was also distance, and that doesn't work ever. But communication, it just...
Well, it didn't work for you. I know some successful marriages.
Let me not say that. It didn't work for me, because everything is situation dependent, and you know, just depends on what works for y'all. But I feel like I was also too ambitious at the time. I really had no business having a girlfriend at the time, just knowing where I wanted to be, and, you know, just trying to push in that direction, because at that point, anybody else just would have, you know, were holding me back. So I don't even know what I was holding on to, at this point. But yeah, it was definitely me, you know, communication issues. And I feel like I wasn't good at communicating at all. You know, I didn't understand like love languages and stuff like that. You know, you got 5 of them. I didn't understand how to tap into hers and, you know, fully, you know, arouse that. And then eventually, you know, she just shut down, you know, on me. And, you know, they say with women, when the relationship is over, it's over in their head first.
Yes.
You know, mentally, then it's physically.
It is.
So yeah, I ended up, you know, going through that. But yeah, it was definitely me in the past, just not knowing how to communicate all the time and not wanting to.
I find this interesting, because, you know, my question was, why do relationships fail? And they're taking the brunt of that, you know, and I find that very interesting. You know, that as men, they're saying, and obviously these dudes are mature, you know, we wouldn't be here if they weren't, but, you know, they're talking about their mistakes in past relationships. I don't got no mistakes, y'all. I'm just kidding.
She's flawless.
I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. I do want to say this though, that in my past relationships, or in relationships in general, something that I have constantly seen is that, you know, there comes 2 aspects of it. And something that comes to be true is men thrive off of respect and women thrive off of love, the way that they're treated, you know? And that's just the reality of it. And the difference is, though, is that you have to know how those people interact with those things. So, you know, Sean's respect is going to look completely different from Jay's respect. And the way I like to be loved is going to look completely different than the way another woman likes to be loved. You know what I mean? And care for the small things like that. And I think sometimes I have been in relationships where I didn't know, you know, how that dude liked to be respected. I was very respectful. I'm a respectful person, but I was very respectful, but it may have been something that, you know, triggered them the wrong way too. So, you know, but I didn't fail the relationships though, let's be clear.
So no relationship was due to you. And never ending.
Yeah. I'm going to be completely honest and say no. And I know, and I'm not saying this because, you know, I'm saying women don't fail relationships. I think that I could have been responsible for them, but they overlook certain things. You know, me looking back on it now with the type of person that I am, I could have failed relationships, but you know, they overlooked certain things. I overlooked certain things, but I was never the person who broke the camel's back. You know what I mean? Most of my relationships, I'm just being honest, you know, ended off of cheating. And for a while, I thought to myself, like, okay, what do I not have? Why men are cheating, or you know, whatever else. But it wasn't me. And I'm just being real about that, because I had to really look at this thing, you know, and say, okay, as a woman, what is it that I'm not doing? But I know the type of person that I am. I'm very committed to whoever I'm with. And I've always been that way. I'm very committed, but not just with being with them, but, you know, time, making sure they're good, you know, regardless of anything. And so, you know, sometimes there were just situations where the men just weren't ready. You know, and I think as women, we do mature quicker than men do. And so we have in our heads, okay, I know that I have X, Y, and Z, and this is where I want to get to, and I can still tolerate a relationship. Where men, you know, they kind of have to have a structure and a base for things, because sometimes for them it feels like they're sinking before they're able to swim. And so I think that attests to a lot of it. You know, and guys, leave your comments below, you know, and let us know what you guys think, you know, in the comment section as well, as to why you think relationships fail.
So who's the reason for failing relationships? I just think that basically everybody needs to take blame, you know, themselves, and just work on themselves. That's ultimately what you can do. It's just all about your ability to lead at the end of the day. And not fall into, you know, insecurities. But that's a whole nother level. It just depends on where it goes, because we could talk about, you know, certain dynamics of women. Like,
yeah, you know, I want to touch on those insecurities. But first, I want to ask Jay, what do you have to say about it?
She don't want to touch on the insecurities. She don't want to touch on the.
No, we're not talking about.
We're gonna touch on that.
You want to touch on the insecurities?
We're gonna touch on
but
that.
I want to talk about it because I'm not a man, you know. But I have questions for these men.
We're gonna touch on that. But now I feel like in some situations,
he coming for me, y'all.
Trying on it. But I feel like in some situations, like when one person does something, the other person is gonna react. You know, that's just common, you know, common nature, right? So, with that being said, say if you know, you get into a relationship with a woman who doesn't have like a lot of trust in you, okay, that might start to rub off on you a little bit. You might be like, well, hey, I don't really trust you that much neither. I mean, you know, so that's what can make it, you know, like a seesaw, back and forth.
Okay.
You know, as far as that goes.
So I'm still okay. I agree with that. I can definitely see that. It's cause and effect in relationships, and I definitely agree with that. But I still gotta ask y'all about the insecurities. I want to ask, but I also want to do a backup statement before you give me an answer. Anyway, so you said that, you know, men can deal with insecurities about those things, and the reason why I'm asking this is because if you said something that was really key to me, and that was men leading. And I think that oftentimes it may be societal pressures, but men feel like they have to lead, and the leading comes through finances. And, you know, because again, it may be societal pressure, you know, family pressure, like you're a man, you have to take care of a woman. And I think that men, I'm old school. I do think men have to take care of women, but I don't think it's financial. I don't think that, I'm not saying that that isn't going to always play a role, but what I am saying is that as the two are succeeding, sometimes my man's going to have more and sometimes I'm going to have more. But what my man has to constantly do as leading us in this relationship is that he has to care for me. He has to be able to make decisions and say, okay, she has to be taken care of. But it's not always financial. It's emotional. It's, you know, it's emotional. It's caring. It's making sacrifices, doing things you really don't feel like doing, you know, as a man. And as a woman, we have certain things that we have to do as well in the relationship. And that's the reality of it. So when you talk about insecurities with finances, what does that look like for you?
It doesn't look like anything for me because I'm not that type of man, but some men do deal with that. And I want to kind of push back on what you said. So what you said is perfect cut. And you know, I agree with it. However, you know, it's just not reality for everybody. You know, you have a lot of women that really demand, you know, men pay all the bills.
Is this true, ladies?
Facts. Yeah,
Facts.
it is true.
Facts.
They made a song about
Facts.
it. Can you pay my bills? Y'all remember that song by
Can you
Beyonce?
pay my bills?
I
like the song, but
I like the song too. I don't like the
that.
concept though, ladies.
Right.
No, there's nothing wrong with the song, but I mean, you just said what you said. But at the same time, there's women out here that really call a man, you know, not a real man if he can't pay all her bills.
Yeah.
And she might come with some baggage. She might have a child or two.
Right.
You know what I mean? So this is kind of,
Baggage?
this is backwards. Huh?
Gosh, I said baggage, children. It's true though. It's true. It's true.
I mean, you have that. I mean, and I'm not knocking that. You know what I mean? But
No, you should knock that. I'm sorry.
what?
You should knock that.
All right.
Knock it.
Yeah.
We got it off. We got it off camera.
And we got Gert. Hey, shout out to
what's
Gert,
up,
man.
man?
Shout out to
Want to
Gert.
get on real quick and say something?
Yeah, I just want to say that I don't think women
Get
should.
the camera right quick.
Get in the
man.
camera, bro.
All right.
Shout out to Dirtbag Couture.
Y'all gonna get this shit, man.
I don't think. All I just really want to say was that, to me personally, a woman advocating for a man to pay her bills when she already got kids, I don't think that's fair to the man. And men, you shouldn't be that weak to fall for that and think that woman saying that means that it's true. You should really just blow them off and just not deal with them. That's just a red flag. But nobody should be expecting nobody to take care of them.
He's off camera, but we're gonna talk about it.
You heard it from Gert himself.
Gert.
So what y'all got? What you
Gert.
got to say
If
to
it's
that?
my kids, then that's different. It's
Yeah.
my kids, I'm gonna take care of my kids.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you still hold your end of the bargain at the end of the day.
I'm the type to where like my pride, you know, my pride don't get in the way when it comes to like financial situations. Like, so
Okay.
for instance, you know, my girl will go out to dinner. Sometimes I buy dinner. Sometimes she buy dinner. I don't
Right.
buy dinner every single time.
Right.
You know, some men's pride get in the way. They're like, oh, I gotta buy this every time. You
Right.
know?
I think everything
Really?
needs to be 100, and that's just real. Because in order for a relationship to really succeed, and I'm not, I think this is kind of what Gert was saying too. I mean, Jay was saying too, so I'm not like knocking you on that. But if you're bringing all and they're bringing all, then you have a higher success rate within the relationship. Because, you know, you're bringing the best of you, but if you're just saying, well, I'm gonna just bring 50 and I expect them to bring 50, it's not gonna
No, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But so let me elaborate on that. So what
Yeah.
I mean by that is I don't mean like, okay, let's have a set number. Let's
Right.
have a set
Like
percentage.
this person
I
needs
mean
to do
like
this.
I feel like if it's balanced out, it's automatically 50-50.
Right.
It don't have to be a number or a statistic or percentage. Like, you know, you do things, I do things. We
Right.
both happy. That
Right.
is 50-50. So let me clear that too. Like,
Okay.
that is 50-50 to me.
Cool. Okay.
Mhm.
I understand that. But I want to talk on what Gert said, because I think if you are in a relationship like to where you're not married yet and you're trying to get a man to take care of your kids, I don't think that's cool, because those are your kids.
Y'all out there too.
And I've never met anybody like that. I think women are great because we are. Okay. But I am going to say that if it's, you know, you can't expect a man to take care of you and your children. But if you are married to this man, then that man is making a commitment to be the leader of y'all's household. So that does include your kids at that point. And I think that, you know, you just have to figure it out in your household of what's going to look best. Is he going to be working and you're taking care of the kids? Are you both going to be working and they'll be in daycare and school, or, you know, whatever that looks like? And whenever you're able to, you know, do things, and you do it, you know. I'm briefly going to talk about my marriage. You know, my husband takes care of things most of the time. However, you know, I don't put that responsibility on him. If I'm able to help him, I help him. And he's the type of man, he'll try to pay me back for something that I helped him with. And I'm like, bro, we in this together. Like, don't pay me back. Like, you take care of me all the time. And that was a hard thing for me because I'm not used to that, you know. But we chose in our household for me to be there with our son and not put him in daycare right now. So, you know, I'm there with our 2-year-old son. So that's the way that it's handled, you know. And I think that, you know, it comes, whether we're saying 50-50 or 100%, I think we have the same context that everybody has to pull their weight. You just have to establish who's pulling the weight at this time. Because if my husband says, okay, I've decided to go this career path, and he quits, you know, school or being a doctor or whatever, and says, I want to go this career path, this is what I want to do, this is what I'm invested in, and I believe in him and I support him, and I have to take the lead, then I'm going to do that. And that's what's going to happen, you know, in order. So people have to shift, basically, in all situations. So, you know, Jay said 50-50, I say 100-100. It's the same concept, but Sean, what do you have to say about it?
Man, it's about to get hot in here, man, so we got a refill for these. About to go in. Alright, so let's cheers it up real quick.
Appreciate that too, man.
Yeah.
Shout out to the girl. Oh, special, son.
Oh, yeah.
How you be doing that?
He got the skills, I can't lie. I gotta give it to him.
Nah, man, but basically, you say this is about a contribution and everything like that, but at the same time, I can't knock anything. That's why before Gert got on here, I said I can't knock anybody for what they do.
Right.
If you're a woman out here and you know there's a man out here, I'm not gonna say he's a weak man, but if you know there's a man that'll provide for you and you do whatever, if it's tailored to your situation, if there's a simp ass nigga out there, go find him.
We don't know.
That's a little tough.
Hey, go ahead and find
don't
them.
know.
But I mean, you know, some men are simps and they want to be simps. You know what I mean?
What does that mean?
They will.
What does it mean? What is the definition of a simp?
Man,
Yes,
go
let's
for it,
elaborate.
son.
So the definition of a simp is a man who just allows himself to go down bad behind women in all types of ways, all types of situations. So this woman, he'll lose money behind this woman. You know what I mean? He'll lose his common sense behind this woman and do foolish things and always go down bad.
Okay.
That's a simp.
That is
Okay.
the definition.
That is a simp.
A man who's willing to be taken advantage of. That's
And
a simp.
willingly, I
Willingly, yeah.
That's-
Well, not even willingly either. It can be both. Sometimes you gotta catch it.
guess. Yeah, wow.
You gotta catch it.
Wow. Okay. So I think that's an not an insecurity, but as women, we're always looking like, is this man about to, you know, be faithful to me? Is he gonna have my best intentions at heart? And I think that's where a lot of women have that block up. And so sometimes she is like, well, forget this. In order for him to prove himself to me, he needs to take care of me financially. And I think men are always looking at, is this woman about to play me and try to take everything I have, including, as Jay said, my common sense. You know, so that's a different perspective of it. And so it's not one person who's responsible for failing relationships. You know, it's different aspects that come with it. It's different things women think about. It's different things men think about. But at the end of the day, you guys just have to come together. But you have to, if you're not ready for it, don't approach a relationship knowing I'm trying to get something out of this person, because this person will never make you who you need to be. Okay, y'all will add to each other and y'all will either succeed or the relationship will fail. But as we said in the beginning, what works for one person doesn't mean it does not work for the next person. So you being with this person doesn't mean that this person was bad. They just weren't it for you because they brought out whatever, you know. So what do y'all think?
Compatibility. That's a must. Compatibility. If y'all not compatible, you pretty much know it. Like, I mean, just keep chilling with that person. Just chill with them day to day and start peeping stuff. And
Okay.
You know, if he or she is not your cup of tea.
Okay, let's talk
then
about.
get up out of there.
Well, let's talk about red flags. What are red flags for you guys?
So I mean, red flags is if a woman is possessive. A red flag could be you know, she's not clean. Maybe
Clean in what aspect?
hygiene.
What?
Hygiene. Fellas, the first thing you do when you go to that house, ask to use the bathroom and look in that bathtub. That'll tell you a lot. But
They do it to us.
does.
yeah, hygiene. I mean, if a woman is gonna disrespect you, not listen. I mean, there's a whole bunch of things, but it also depends on who you are, because there's a lot of simps that will look past all that. Real talk. I'm gonna go in on these simps.
Yeah. And I'm
Because you know, a lot of women, you know, let's be real. You know, women are gorgeous. You know, they're beautiful. They're creatures that men are visual creatures. You know what I mean? So a lot of women that carry beauty, these men will simp over.
Okay.
Just because they're insecure. And I've seen it a lot.
Oh, wow.
I've seen it a lot. And there's nothing, like I said, there's nothing wrong with that if that's what floats your boat. That's not what I'm doing over here.
Right.
But yeah, you got a lot of simps.
Yeah.
So what are your red flags specifically? You said hygiene. What else?
I mean, at this point, I don't have to look out for a red flag.
I know, but
I'm in a happy relationship.
Right, we established that, but I mean, in the past, what were your red flags? Like, you know, when you approached a relationship and you said, "Oh, this is gonna work," or "Nah, this isn't gonna work." What were your red flags?
I don't know. I just look at the way a woman moves. I just kind of look at how she carries herself, how she communicates. You know what she's about. You know what she's doing. What is she doing on her off time? And like when we have a conversation, you know, just what her mindset is like.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man, I agree. Like, please have some type of hustle about you. That's one thing. That's one thing too, because we can go back to what we was talking about. With some women feel like the men gotta take care of them. No, please have some type of hustle about yourself, because if it don't work between us, what are you gonna do? You don't have no backup. You don't have nothing to fall back on because you was depending on this man.
Yeah.
You see, so that's key too.
You know, red flags for me are that same thing. A man having to hustle about himself, you know, and being a man, like, bruh, I have been with men who they just aren't men. And it took me, you know, I was early on in my 20s, and it took me a while to realize this dude is not a man yet. And I mean, we're in our early 20s. I was expecting too much, you know what I'm saying? But you know, with that being said, I need a man to be a man. I don't want to have to tell you everything you need to do. Like, we need to have our own minds and bring the best of ourselves together. I don't want to have to tell you, hey, you should do this, you should do that. That doesn't mean that I won't support my man. That doesn't mean that he won't introduce me to new things and I won't introduce him to new things. But that means on his day-to-day, I don't need to tell you every single thing you need to do. You know you have to go to work. Get your butt up and go to work, bro. Like, do what you have to do. Be responsible for yourself. Like, that's such a pet peeve for me, and that's such a red flag for, you know, a man to always be like, so what you up to? What you doing? What are you know? And I'm like, bro, when are you working? Like, and it's not because I'm looking at your finances. It's because you have to have something going for yourself. What are your goals? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? You know, what are you doing? Like, what do you need help on building in yourself? What are your weaknesses, so we can help strengthen those? You know what I'm saying? Those are, you know, red flags. And of course, obviously, I was very candid about my cheating history. Not me, but others. That was a red flag for me too. And you can only like, you can't really know. I don't know, y'all. Clearly, I'm very bad at pointing it out, but you know, I'm saying that because, you know, whatever's done in the dark will always come to the light. But for me, if I'm talking with a guy and he seems kind of flaky, like, you know, he's talking to me sometimes and then he's out other times, I'll keep talking to him, but I know it's not going anywhere. Like, we'll be better off as friends. Like Jay said, you cool people, but you're not my people. You know what I'm saying? And so those are my red flags, my biggest ones. And, you know,
please have some type of hustle.
Yes, for real. And that's for men and women.
Yeah, but elaborate on what you were saying about men just not being real men. That just kind of goes back to background too. You got to look at, you know, who they're raised with, you know, who they're affiliated with, you know.
I mean, but I've been, I'll elaborate on that. What I was saying is basically, you know, I've been in relationships with men who were raised in single parent households, and I've been in relationships with men who were raised, you know, with both their mother and father, and there were different variances, and sometimes it's not necessarily it's not as simple, it's not as surfaced as 2-parent households versus one.
Oh, sometimes it's not. That's what I'm saying. You gotta look at who they were raised with, what they're raised around, you know. It has nothing to do with a single parent household.
How they speak to them, how they encourage them. Do they do everything for them? And is that what that man is expecting me to do? Because no, I don't. And you know, and that's just the reality. You know, when I first started dating my husband, that was something. It was. I think I talked about this last time, but you know, I'm a boisterous person. I speak and I say what's on my mind. I'm very respectful of my husband though, and I don't think that women, I do, you know, want to speak on that. I think sometimes for women, we feel like, you know, I'm not about to sit here and succumb to a man, but you all are succumbing to each other. Like, it's respect between each other, you know. So.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Sorry for the technical difficulties.
Basically, what we were saying is that in a relationship, in order for it to fail, you have to look at both parties. You know, some things stand out more than others, and you just have to figure out what's going to work for you. So, you know, just be cognizant of yourself. And when it comes to past, you know, how you were brought up, you have to look at that, and you have to look, okay, is this person, did they succumb to that, or are they forging their own path? I'm a firm believer in that personally. So you know, y'all have anything else to say?
Well, yeah, and just you know, analyze. Don't overthink, but you know, think.
Critically think.
Yeah. See what you could be doing better, or vice versa. But don't overthink it.
Yeah.
Don't get overwhelmed.
Yeah, I just want to say to that, in order for a relationship to work, you got to look at yourself. You can't really look at the other person, because you can't control them. They're gonna do what they're gonna do regardless. But what are you gonna do? You know.
Yep, I can't say it better myself. The only thing you can work on is you. And like you said, you know, if a man knows how to lead, you know, basically that's a perfect balance right there. But he just has to be comfortable in his masculinity and be able to lead off of that.
That's one.
All right, y'all. Thanks for joining us today.
Indeed.
Leave some comments. Let us know your thoughts. We would love to read over them and see what you guys think about failing relationships. And we're out, y'all.
Shout out Dirtbag Couture. Check them out at dirtbagcouture.com. We're going to post a link in the YouTube video.
All right, y'all. Green room out.
All right, y'all. Green room out.
All right.
Yeah, we out, motherfuckers.